Eventful past couple of weeks, right? Huge sell-offs throughout the whole market, right? No matter what we pretty much will look at, we had some destructions in shareholder prices in many stocks, right? Many stocks are just getting wildly oversold, right? Hims being one of them. By the way, don't touch this stock if you're new. Do not touch this stock. But yeah, 80% down. Other high growth stocks, iron down massively, 50, 60%. You have your big tech stocks as well. Microsoft from the highs, 30. You had Netflix continually selling off as well. Absolutely brutal market right now, but a lot of opportunity. One sec. Of course, you have the software stocks as well, the Adobes selling off, good amount of support. I'll touch a little bit more onto this one. Same thing with CRM here. Big sell-offs from highs, showing some level of support roughly around these areas here. So let's go answer some of the questions here. Could you give a macro analysis of the overall stock market? Right now, you're seeing a lot of big text sell-offs, right? So you're seeing, like I said, the Amazons, your Apples, big sell-offs, right? What's causing a lot of this sell-off in the market right now? A lot of it is just concern over the expenditures with tech stocks, right? So a lot of these tech companies are investing billions and billions of dollars into artificial intelligence, right? That's the theme, right? Artificial intelligence. But now there's a worry from investors or just Wall Street a bit, basically, that these big tech companies who are investing into AI, are they investing too much, right? Are they going to erode shareholder returns? Is what they're investing into profitable, essentially, right? So that's the question that's going along in the market right now. And due to that uncertainty, a lot of big tech, your Apples, your Amazons, and whatnot, are essentially selling off, right? You have some that are holding up well, but overall, for the broad tech market, you're getting pretty big sell-offs. Can you please mute? Another theme that's been going on in the market too is essentially software, right? Software being Adobe, CRM, a bunch of these stocks here. So there's a concern with a lot of these software companies where AI will commoditize them, will basically essentially replace a lot of these softwares. And there's a concern for that, causing what's called a re-rate in a lot of these stocks, right? So a lot of these stocks that were trading at higher multiples, say at 20, 30 PEs, are being what's called re-rated, right? So now that these stocks are trading at PEs in the teens, right? Basically 10, 12, 14, 15, right? So there's a lot of concern over that aspect with a lot of AI stocks or a lot of software stocks, and you're getting the sell-off from that, right? The question now becomes, is that sell-off getting overblown now, right? Stocks, you're seeing divergences show up. You're seeing just stock is just overly oversold, right? And we had a big, decent bounce in a stock like Adobe today on higher than normal volume, right? So that's what I like to see for that. But that's ultimately the main theme about what's going on inside the market right now, right? Other than that, GDP, basically the way people look at to gauge the economy, that's essentially revised up, right? So this is towards the mid 2% range, so that's good. There's also been strong job prints that just came out, so good in terms of the overall economy, right? The rates are likely going to be held because of that. That's questionable if that's good, because people generally, for the stock market, you want the rates to go down so that more economic spending is likely to happen or ensue, right? So ultimately, that's what's going on from a macro analysis right now, right? So I'll take a look into some of the stocks that you guys wanted to look at as well. You can ignore that one. Do you think new leadership can turn things around? Was concerning the final DCA at current price, what would that be a final solid decision, right? So going over PayPal here. So this company after earnings had a big fall, right? 20, 30% fall on an already oversold stock, right? Ultimately, what happened? Earnings were decent, not great, but decent. But main thing that caused the stock to sell off was because of change in management, right? A lot of people liked the former CEO, and with the new CEO, there's a lot of questioning on what the new strategy is to essentially complete the turnaround for a stock like PayPal, right? Something to go along with that is with the new CEO, he's already known for huge operational efficiencies, basically. meaning he's likely to lay off a lot of people, right? Ultimately, that is good for the stock, at least for the short term as well, right? Companies bloated, likely going to lay off, likely going to do a lot of things to incentivize the stock price to go up as well. The CEO is incentivized for the stock to go up. So let me check here. So when CEOs come on board, they can pay them through many different means. CEO Enrique Loris is actually going to be highly incentivized to bring the stock up, right? So it's a performance-based equity opportunity. Basically means he gets paid more as the stock goes up. So this is very good in terms of likely he's going to do a lot of things to drive up the stock price. The thing with that is that might not be good for a longer term thing, but as a short term thing, that's very good, at least for where the stock is currently sitting at, to complete a stock turnaround, right? So what does that mean, right? Layoffs, like I said, he's probably going to do a lot of things in terms of efficiencies, maybe some artificial intelligence and whatnot, increase buybacks, things like that, right? So highly incentivized to bring up the stock price. That's the overview of what's going on with PayPal from a leadership perspective. He's coming on in early March, so probably won't get any definitive guidance until that happens, right? So right now, stock's pretty much in limbo, a lot of question marks on what's going on, right? Technical wise, just completely oversold, right? Sitting at an RSI of 16, you're likely sitting at some bottom roughly around these areas here. Looks like it's holding this prior low here. So that's what you like to see. You swept the new low, but you're holding the prior low. So we'll see how the market ends up being. But yeah, overall weakness in this certain position and overall the entire market, right? You saw this position, other stocks down 5%, Netflix, other stocks down 4.72%. So it's nothing company specific. You're getting just an overall sell-off in the general markets right now, right? That is what I am seeing. One final DC at current price action. Yeah, I do where it's currently sitting at now. Seems stabilized around this area. Ideally, I want it to hold above this $40, the psychological 40, but you're not above that just yet, right? But it is holding this level that was previously held while the stock is really oversold, right? And of course, divergences that are showing up, right? But right now, a lot of the market is just on a sell-off, even more so than in history, right? You're seeing historical level sell-offs throughout the market right now, right? Yeah, a stock like Hims brutally destroyed, right? Sitting in RSI of 14 right now, probably one of the most oversold stocks right now as well. Other stocks like Affirm, yeah, huge sell-offs right now in the market, right? 50% sell-off from their highs. So that is PayPal. Let's go over a little bit on the technicals for this position here. So when things like this happen, what am I like gauging, right? It gave up a lot of Fibonacci retracements. Now it's just pretty much just demand levels, right? And that's the majority of the market, right? The same thing that you're getting with Netflix, the same thing that you're getting with Apple, Microsoft, and whatnot, or Adobe. You're just going off of Fibonacci's right now. You can go off longer term fibs as well to try to gauge if you're at any big supports, right? You have one around here. You also have one around this one, which would align with this Fibonacci retracement here, right? So this is good to see as a potential big fib point for Netflix here. PayPal here obviously is just sitting at multi-year lows. There's no fibs to go off of from this standpoint, right? Essentially IPO prices right now. So big sell-off, you're just going off of demand levels. There's not much more demand levels to go lower from here. It's as low as it pretty much can essentially trade now, right? Valuations are getting just absurd here, right? So if I just draw something around here, you're drawing something here, you're a little on prior low. There's maybe another low towards these areas here, but completely oversold. You have a new management coming in. You're likely sitting at some local low currently, right? So that's it for PayPal, Comcast. Comcast actually being one of the bigger outperformers in the market, right? So an extremely low PE stock. A lot of looks like investors are flocking to these extremely low PE stocks because of its safety, right? The stock doesn't need to grow too much, and the stock's not trading expensively, right? So if I look at stock like Comcast, you're sitting at a very low PE of 5, right? Similar to what you're seeing with PayPal sitting at a PE of 7 now, right? You're seeing value come into play here, right? Would I look into Comcast here? Me personally, no, right? It's run up significantly. You're getting overbought. You're hitting major supply around these areas now, right? If I just draw something like it here, you're under this, that flipped, you're under it now, right? These are demand levels. Now it's rejecting. You're at a breakout spot now. So yeah, it's due for a potential breakout from these areas here, but you're getting overbought. It's not a high growth company. Maybe have some level of retracement. Might be something I'm to look into to flock for more safety, right? This is getting overbought on the weekly, by the way. So if I go on the daily, very overbought, right? So now you're getting some level of sell-off or cooling down for the stock here. Adobe, Adobe right now going off the theme with software stocks, right? So software stocks selling off through heightened fears of softwares essentially getting eroded by artificial intelligence, now sitting at very low PEs compared to historical, providing a good safety net from that standpoint, right? Low 15, debt to equity is really good. You're getting a large margin of safety from here. Wall Street essentially has it higher than where it's currently at. Looking at hedge funds, you're seeing sizable, big super investors add considerably. Something to note for hedge funds, they are going to be revealing their positions in next week. So February 17, is it? Where are we at right now? February 12th. So, yeah, February 17th. It's like the 14th you have to file or something, or in the weekend, but it doesn't show in the weekend. So it'll be February 17th. You're going to get news about hedge funds. I can almost guarantee that there's going to be a lot of additions on a stock like this, right? Same thing with that you're going to likely get with UNH. You're likely going to get some level of significant buying, right? You're getting big sell-offs in more like safe havens like UNH, Adobe sitting at low valuations right now. You're likely going to see some additions here. That will likely be some, in my opinion, the catalyst to have some bounce back in a lot of these stocks here. Your UNHs, your Adobes, even potentially with your PayPals here. You're seeing 73% addition, 10% has a $500 million position. Of course, you have, where is it? Ken Fisher with a $1.5 billion position here. You just have Jim Simons, 337 million. So yeah, that's a little fundamentals on Adobe. Where can you expect Adobe to find some level of support? Pretty much now, right? You're getting a lot of volume that came in the past couple of days here, and then you see a nice support candle on higher volume as well, right? This candle previously, not what I like to see, higher volume, big sell-off, 2.8%, but then you found another low, which we're not surprised off of this single candle right here, but now that's your potential reversal candle here. The stock was down as much as 2% for the day and ended up positive 2%. So a complete reversal from prior lows, likely capitulation, meaning, like I said, the market hunts stop losses, right? The market hunts emotional traders. The market hunts people who are short-term thinking. So during these times and whatnot, a lot of people, myself included, probably bought into the position. But there's also some people who buy option contracts, very risky stuff. They leverage their money and whatnot, and they're losing on these positions. And ultimately, they're getting them to liquidate their position, sell out their positions because emotionally they can't handle it, right? So as long as you guys can stay emotionally calm during these, that's essentially what happened in the most recent day. You're seeing another prior low, right? What looked like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what was going to be a 6 red trading day ended up reversing the total move here, right? Like I said, once lows happen, the moves to the upside happen very quickly, right? A lot of people who've been here for a while kind of experience it, right? So you find yourself being down 5, 10, 15%. As long as you're in strong fundamental companies, it's not something I would be particularly concerned about. Everyone is down in the market right now. That's the biggest thing. Unless you are like a fortune teller and can accurately pick the small number of stocks that are trading up, then yeah, vast majority, 90% of people managing their money right now are down. That's just the reality of the market now. But the difference between people who end up making it and the people who don't is that during these times where it's like fearful, right? No one really wants to buy. These are where you essentially need to step up, right? You're seeing some level of reversion into these areas here. You're seeing the stock greatly oversold at certain areas. Every time we look back in time in history, you're getting these big sell-offs in terms of the RSIs. You're not even getting that. You're not even just getting oversold on the daily. You're getting oversold on the weekly time frame for many of these stocks, right? And that's essentially the setup that's going on in the market right now. Just big sell-offs, right? You just go off of something like this, you would think it's going to bounce, but you actually did not get a bounce, and you're getting a lot of just extended sell-offs in the market, right? And that's just the reality of the market sometimes, right? If it were really easy, everyone would be rich, right? Everyone would be rich because, hey, we're just very oversold here. I'm just going to buy this position now. I'm just going to maybe even buy option contracts, do some leverage my money here, and those are the ones that get smoked, right?